The Megaten franchise is mostly known for its gameplay, setting, and story, but the music in this franchise is some of the best that I have seen out of any franchise. So today I will be ranking each Megaten game that I have played based on their music, starting off at the bottom and making my way up. I'll make sure to leave timestamps of when I cover each game in the description, so you can skip to a certain game if you want to see how I rated it. Also, I am in no way a professional music critic, so if my descriptions sound kind of bare bones at times, that's why. I'm just judging the soundtracks by how much I like them. This is in no way definitive, so feel free to comment what songs or soundtracks you like, and I'll take a listen to them and see what I think. For each game, I'm going to give a brief description on what I think of the soundtrack, along with saying my favorite song from the soundtrack. The first and only game in F tier is Last Bible Special. The one way I've thought to describe this soundtrack is what parents in the 90s thought video games sound like. I hope that analogy makes sense. Now, this game is on the Game Gear, which is probably very limited when it comes to music, so I won't talk too badly about its soundtrack, but if you were to play the game, I would mute the game audio and put on some of your own music in the background. As for my favorite song, I don't really have one, but I'll play a quick snippet of the battle theme so you can hear what I've been talking about. Skipping D tier and heading straight into C tier is Jack Bros, which is a game for Nintendo's failed VR console, the Virtual Boy. This game's soundtrack fits the bill for the game it is in, but other than that, it doesn't do much to stand out in my eyes. My favorite song from Jack Bros is Grim Reaper's Cavern. My next game is Kyūyaku Megami Tensei 1 and 2. I grouped these two games together because I'm pretty sure some of the music overlaps between games. Anyways, these two games have a decent soundtrack that can get repetitive at times, but still does a decent job at fitting the game's atmosphere. Now the reason it is so low on my list is because I believe the original Megami Tensei 2 versions of the music are better than the remastered versions. My favorite song from the soundtrack is Battle 1. Starting us off in B tier is the original Shin Megami Tensei for the Super Famicom. This soundtrack fits the post-apocalyptic environment of its setting very well, but there are some things holding it back. Most songs aren't very long, which means while exploring certain areas, you're going to hear the same music over and over. About half the game's songs are under the 1 minute mark, which can make it hard to listen to them on their own, or hard using them as background music in a video. My favorite song from SMT1 is Boss Battle. This next placement on my list might upset a few people, but I have my reasons for it. The next soundtrack on my list is the PlayStation Portable version of Persona 1. Now, this game has some great songs, but the main problem is the lack of variety, which can lead to repetitiveness. I'm sure we all like hearing Lone Prayer. It's a very good song, but once you've heard it for the 100th time, it definitely starts getting tiring to hear. Also, lots of the original PlayStation 1 soundtrack was cut from this game, which is a shame, and because of that, in my opinion, I think the PS1 soundtrack is better. And you can see where I put that game later in the video. My favorite song from the PlayStation Portable version of Persona 1 is the intro song, Dream of Butterfly. Next up on my list is Shin Megami Tensei 2. I believe this game, like the original, has a soundtrack that very much fits this environment. The tracks in this game are longer than the original, which fixes one of my only complaints of the original, and I believe that the tracks are slightly better than the first game. My favorite track being the game's boss battle theme. Next up is SMT If, which combines the music of SMT 1 and 2 along with adding some original tracks to its soundtrack. Even though some of the music wasn't specifically made for the game, I think it still fits the environment very well. My favorite track in this game is Old Enemy. The next soundtrack is Majin Tensei, which is a game known for how slow it is. But its soundtrack is honestly one of the best things about it, and is probably my second favorite out of all the SNES Megaten soundtracks. My favorite track in Majin Tensei is Omega. Next up is the first Raidou game, which is the only one I have played. I'm talking about the original PlayStation 2 soundtrack here, and not the soundtrack of the remaster that came out recently. The soundtrack does a stellar job of fitting the old detective story style of the game, but there aren't too many hits in my opinion. Still though, the soundtrack is good, and my favorite song from the mix is the final battle theme. And finally, rounding out the end of B tier is Majin Tensei 2, which is not only more fun than the original, but I think it has a better soundtrack than the original, with all the tracks fitting the futuristic vibes of the game. My favorite track is Eurythmic Battle. Starting us off at the bottom of A tier is Smt Nocturne, which has over 100 tracks in its soundtrack. It may sound repetitive saying this at this point, but the tracks fit the environment of the game very well. It has 15 battle themes, which gives you a lot of variety when in battle. My favorite track from Smt Nocturne is Fiend. Next up is Devil Survivor, which is one of my favorite Megaten games ever. The soundtrack for Devil Survivor is made up of rock music, which is my favorite kind of music, and is part of the reason why the soundtrack is so high up on my list. The one drawback with the soundtrack is that there isn't much variety. There are only 24 songs on the entirety of the soundtrack, which isn't a lot, but the songs themselves are good enough in my opinion to warrant its spot. My favorite song from Devil Survivor is Deep Night. The next game on the list is actually the oldest one that is on this list, and that is the original Megami Tensei 2 for the Famicom. You may be surprised that a game this old is this high up, but the Megami Tensei 2 soundtrack has plenty of good songs, like Dash Underground, Deathmatch, and my personal favorite, Fallen Gods. The next game is Persona 1 for the PlayStation 1, which is a soundtrack that I use a lot for background music in my challenge runs. Seriously, Probably around 30 to 40% of the music I used in my Persona 2 runs and Persona 1 run was from this soundtrack. It's great and very expansive with over 130 tracks, my favorite of them all being Kama Palace. Let's go! From this point on, putting certain games above or below each other was really difficult to do, due to the fact that all the remaining soundtracks are really good. Next up is the first Digital Devil Saga game, which has an amazing soundtrack fitting of the game's environment. The soundtrack helps you feel immersed into the environment of the game, making it feel like you're fighting to survive an apocalyptic environment and coming out on top. My favorite track is Hunting Compulsion. Shin Megami Tensei 4 is next on my list and has a wide variety of themes with 17 battle themes and a lot of environmental tracks that fit both Mikado and Tokyo respectively. The game also has its share of iconic tracks like Battle B2, which now has over 10 million views on YouTube. My favorite track from the game is Battle C2. Adding more songs to the already expansive soundtrack is Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse, which takes songs from the original soundtrack and adds a variety of brand new tracks which are just as good and in some cases better than the original. My favorite track from this game is Battle F2, and I'm not kidding you when I say it was my most listened to song on Spotify in 2024. Safe to say I didn't upload that on my Snapchat story that year. Anyways, take a listen. Rounding off A tier is one of the most recent Megaten games, Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengence. I'll be including the vanilla and Vengence soundtrack together into one ranking, due to the fact that all the music is present in Vengence. This soundtrack is huge and in my opinion, perfectly fits the vibe of the game. It's also a plus that some bosses have themes exclusive to them, which really helps set a certain vibe for that fight. My favorite track is Battle Dot. Starting us off in S tier is Digital Devil Saga 2. This game's soundtrack took an already good soundtrack and made it even better, with several songs being remixed from the first game, along with plenty of new songs that make this soundtrack a true enhancement compared to the original. My favorite track is Hunting. Next up is Persona 3 Reload. Even though some of the remixes aren't as good as the originals, there are plenty of new songs that make up for their shortcomings. I really like the vibes the music gives the setting of the game, especially in songs like Color Your Night and Full Moon Full Life. My favorite track from the game is It's Going Down Now. My next game is actually two games that I combined to be easier to rank, and those two games are Persona 2 Innocent Sin and Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. These games are my two favorite Megaten games ever, and are probably in my top 10 games of all time. The soundtrack for these games contains my favorite song in all of Megaten, Unbreakable Tie, which I would definitely listen to if you're a fan of Lotus Juice and haven't heard it. The soundtrack is also very versatile and has been used in my videos a lot. Is it partially biased why these games are so high? Maybe, but I don't care. Now listen to my favorite Megaten song, Unbreakable Tie.
Really gonna keep it going, deep down here, knowing what's gonna happen next. Unknown, can't keep my eyes closed, man, it's cool. Look everywhere for my identity, hurt everywhere, did I blow into an entity? I don't know when have I gone wrong. Wanna try me, but you only got hate, only interested in my fate and insecurities. Now my way, and interference, not them away. Let it be light in the dark night. Gotta get it back, this time I get it back. I wanna bring it back to the good old days.
Sometimes I get sick and tired of the whole situation, but I'll never let them hold me down. 'Cause I now got faith and courage to go on.
Even though Persona 2 is my favorite song, I still think there are three soundtracks that overall beat it. Number 3 is Persona 3 Portable. In my opinion, the original versions of most Persona 3 tracks are better than the remade versions. But that's not why this is so high up. Persona 3 Portable has a female protagonist, and when you play as her, the soundtrack is different. This game basically has two different soundtracks, and they are both amazing. My favorite song, although basic, is Mass Destruction.
There's a way, kind of peace now, face reality, never be charity. The enemy you're fighting covers all society. Damn right, mommy's not here, gonna fight all night. Right here, shadow 10 o'clock direction. Seize the moment, destroy the nation. You rhyme slow motion, give me motivation. Breathe out now, and then on the rifle. Round up around, spit out, all over. Rhyme like a rolling stone, come in the crowd. Watch out the moon, that this too loud. This was this sound, and bombs hold ground. Surround up, don't ease your pace, cause enemies brutal. Moment of truth, there ain't no truth. You're the only one world, one love. But the battle goes on, shadows all mass destruction.
Number 2 is Persona 5 Royal. If you have been on YouTube at all, there is probably a 100% chance that you have heard a song from Persona 5 in the background of someone's videos. It not only has perfect background tracks, but also some stellar vocal tracks like Last Surprise, Take Over, and Wake Up, Get Out There. Lynn really does a fantastic job singing for all these tracks. Out of all the tracks, my favorite is Life Will Change.
It's not a game, I'm not a robot, and I'm challenging you. I'm not a phantom, I'm in your face, and I'm here to see it through. Right before your eyes, what just multiply? Got the flame right, it's time. As the power grows, try to stop us shows.
And finally, my favorite soundtrack in Megaten is Persona 4 Golden. This soundtrack is a 10 out of 10 for me, and let me explain why. Persona 4 has a diverse soundtrack, from rock battle themes to more somber tracks like Snowflakes and Nevermore, which have definitely made several people burst into tears upon hearing. But even with all of that, my favorite song from the soundtrack, and most listened to song on Spotify in 2023, is Heaven. This song makes me feel a way I can't describe, so take a listen for yourself and see what I mean.
Removing doubts from my mind. Those long days passing by
That was my ranking of all the Megaten soundtracks from games I have played. Feel free to comment what your favorite track or soundtrack is, unless your favorite is Last Bible Special, which I don't believe at all. Anyways, thanks for watching this video, and in regards to my next challenge run, I'm going to be trying to beat the first SMT game with only the hero, so stay tuned for when that comes out. Bye for now, and I'll see you next time.